So let's go ahead and talk about the changes that the newborn will go through after the baby is delivered by the mom. We know that during fetal development, the fetus is not using pulmonary circulation for the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange, but this exchange happens through the mom and through the placenta. And so the fetus, the pulmonary circulation of the fetus is not completely paused. There is a small amount of blood that does circulate through the pulmonary circulation, but it this is just so that the vessels are, remaining open and such, but it's not participating in that gas exchange. So after, whenever you clip the umbilical cord, you are basically pausing this gas exchange in the baby. And I think this last part was actually on that previous video before my computer died. But as soon as you stop that gas exchange by clamping that umbilical cord, you are going to what's going to happen is this is going to cause buildup of carbon dioxide in the baby's body. And we know that the buildup of carbon dioxide is going to change pH, and this is a signal. This is what your chemoreceptors in your body detect, and that's what stimulates breathing. And so infant will eventually take a breath. Due to this changing in pH and the respiratory system being, or the respiratory center being activated. The other thing that will happen in the infant is, so that was with the respiratory system, but also for the circulation. So since we're not really using that pulmonary circulation, we know that there's a bypass in the heart in the form of foramen ovale. And this is an opening in the atrial septum, so that blood goes from the right atrium into the left atrium and bypasses, or almost completely bypasses that right ventricle and pulmonary circulation. Okay, this opening will close. This is going to be due to the respiratory changes as well as changes in pressure in the blood that are going to basically force that opening to close. So foramen ovale closes and becomes fossa ovalis, and then the baby will start breathing because respiratory center is activated after the blood flow between the fetus and the placenta is interrupted. So those are the two main changes that happen in the fetus or in the newborn after it is born. Some changes that are going on in the mom would include somebody's coming. So what happens in the mom is after the placenta separates, we know that during pregnancy, the placenta produces and releases all these hormones into the mother's body. Well, after the baby is born, the placenta separates, and you basically stop all these hormones from affecting the mom. And it's a very sharp change in hormones. And this change in hormones generally will cause the mom to go through what we call baby blues. And baby blues just means that the mom's body is adjusting to the changes in the hormones. And you might see, women are going to be more emotional. And this is a combination of the hormonal changes, but it's also sleep deprivation. You're exhausted from labor because labor is called labor on purpose. It is hard work, no matter what kind of delivery you have. It is a lot of stress on the woman's body. The uncertainty of being a mother and just trying to juggle everything together, this all is basically causing this baby blues. Baby blues typically peaks about a week after delivery or so, and it should get better as your hormones kind of balance out, and you're kind of trying to, you have everything. Okay, I'm not saying everything, but you just, the longer it is after the delivery, usually the more you feel like you've got it. You are starting to fall into a routine. And so generally the baby blues start to decrease after about 2 weeks or so. In some women, this does not happen, and the baby blues are getting worse and worse, and eventually could result in postpartum depression. So, if a woman notices that she's not feeling better and just acts differently, and sometimes you might not even understand why did I react like that. It is very important that you're open with your physician and or your OBGYN, whoever you're seeing, and you know uh, don't be ashamed. There's no, this is not something to be ashamed of. This is simply the chemical imbalance in your brain and the hormonal imbalances that are affecting you this way, and it's not something that a mother can affect or really prevent, but it needs to be treated. Okay, so that's it's nothing to be ashamed of. And postpartum depression, if not treated, could have very bad outcomes. There have been cases where moms um, have hurt their babies or themselves, and so you don't want it to get to that part. So it's definitely fine to treat it. It's an illness. So that's that. Some other effects of hormones and hormonal changes that we observe in mom is hair loss. So remember the hair that you were not losing during pregnancy. Well, after the hormones drop, now all that hair is going to come out. Some women do lose hair in clumps, and sometimes it leaves patches. That's not super common, but sometimes it happens. Now, if your hair loss is very significant, where you're like really, losing a lot of hair, it doesn't hurt to have your thyroid checked, because sometimes our thyroid gland doesn't swap back into the pre-pregnancy state, and the problems with thyroid sometimes cause this excessive hair loss. There are respiratory system changes in the mom, so the respiratory system goes back to normal. Remember, our tidal volume was higher, so now it's going to go back to the pre-pregnancy state. Our body after birth needs to lose all this fluid and tissue that needs to be expelled out of our body. So uh, the way that we get rid of this is through our uterus. So uterus is going to be shedding lining. It's going to be coming back to its normal size. It has stretched quite significantly from its original size by the time you're at the end of pregnancy. And so that excess tissue will need to be expelled. There's going to be excess mucus that comes with it, as well as blood. This is called lochia, and it's basically like a really heavy menstrual flow, and this generally ends by 6 weeks. Okay, for some women it's even earlier than that. Oops, another person's coming. So that's the 6 weeks you have after delivery. And so generally after you get discharged, or after, if you're not in the hospital, after you give birth, about 6 weeks later is when the doctor wants to see you, which I don't know, that's in the United States. The 6 weeks is important in other places, but I'm from Europe, and they would not let the mom be on her own for 6 weeks. I mean, like, without seeing a doctor, especially because some women do tear during labor. Some women have to have episiotomy, and as you're taking care of the baby or other children, you don't know, you can't see down there and see if you're healing correctly. And so doctors in Europe, they will definitely see you before 6 weeks, but here they discharge you and they're like, okay, see you later, see you in 6 weeks. And I don't know, I kind of don't like that, but that's just my personal opinion. I think we should offer more support to women that have given birth here, maybe one day. Okay, so that's That's changes in mom. The last part that we'll talk about is lactation. So other hormonal changes that we see in the mom are spikes in prolactin and oxytocin. Remember, oxytocin is what causes release of breast milk from the breast, and prolactin is what causes formation of the breast milk. So just to kind of see the the cycle that is happening here. The main stimulus for the release of the breast milk from the breast is going to be the infant suckling. Before breastfeeding is established, and this is going to take at least a month or so, okay, until your body and the baby's body kind of get in sync during breastfeeding. Early on, the stimulus could just be hearing a baby cry, and it doesn't even have to be your baby. Or just thinking about a baby, you could your body could go and have the letdown reflex, but then eventually it will be the baby drinking or suckling on the nipple. This will stimulate the hypothalamus to inhibit prolactin, or to release inhibit the prolactin inhibiting hormone. There's a lot of inhibin and prolactin words in this. Since we inhibit the prolactin inhibiting hormone, this allows the anterior pituitary to release prolactin. And prolactin, pro is like for, lactin, lactation. Okay, so prolactin is going to stimulate the cells in the mammary glands to produce the breast milk. Breast milk is composed of fats, amino acids, sugars, and it's a nutrient that is made specifically for that infant. And it's kind of amazing how the woman's body is able to do this. There are actually ways that the mom's body can detect what the baby's needs are at the moment. So as the baby latches on, there are chemicals that are coming from the baby that the mom's body will detect. And so if you look at breast milk that is produced by the mom for a baby that might have a cold, or has a runny nose or something, and you look at that breast milk and what it looks like, you would see that it actually visually looks different than breast milk that's produced for a baby that is not sick at the moment. And so the morning breast milk is different than the afternoon or evening breast milk. The evening one tends to be a little heavier or a little more concentrated, and so that allows the baby to sleep a little longer. Although breastfed babies, they do digest this breast milk very quickly. Generally about 3 hours or so is what it takes the baby to digest the breast milk. And so if you're breastfeeding and you expect your baby to sleep through the night in like a few weeks, that's unrealistic expectation, because their bodies simply digest breast milk very quickly, and so they get hungry and they wake up. Some breastfed babies do sleep through the night pretty early, but some don't, and it's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with a baby. It's just that's how their bodies work. So yeah, so that's that. And let me see, where did my chat window go? I don't know. Okay, just making sure that nobody was trying to come in. Yeah, so that's that. Oh, by the way, the oxytocin, as it causes the letdown reflex and it causes ejection of the breast milk, it also causes the uterus to contract. And so this helps uterus come back to its normal size faster. So generally moms that do breastfeed kind of get to their original size uterus a little faster because of those contractions of the uterus due to oxytocin. The breastfeeding is great. It's hard, and fed is best. As long as the baby is fed, that's the best. We used to say breast is best, but then that was changed to fed is best. So as long as the baby is fed properly, That is what matters. Doesn't matter whether you breastfeed or whether you formula feed. Formula is fine too. So that's that. That's that about lactation. And the last part just goes into heredity, and you have the heredity covered on that video that I shared with your lab exercise. So I will be working on those today. So hopefully you can have them all back tomorrow, either today or tomorrow, so that you have feedback before your exam. Okay. Any questions about those exercises or anything else? That's correct. So no class on Wednesday. Just take your exam. And the exam is not going to be cumulative. It's just the last exam. So